to Fundi's Health Matters.
Out of a guy with 6 kids, I was like, what? So in a situation right now, when you say, but when they are quite the process, for me they are too slow, but the process are very slow.
Ups and downs without any issues. So what I'm trying to say, stepmoms, you're actually doing a very good.
I'm always there. But when you are in love, you want to also lay off.
Hi, my name is Bliss and I'm a poet. I'm really looking forward to this event. I'm especially excited to hear the poetry that is lined up. I'm looking forward to the speakers also. And I'd like to render a piece of poetry that I wrote for my mom a long time ago when I was 17. It's 13 years ago actually. So it goes, Mama, Miss Beauty with a beautiful smile, smiling like a shining star up in the sky. Her smile so luminous like the moon that brightens up the sky at dark when we rest our minds. Her body curved like that of an African woman, curved like a clay pot carried by women to the river, curved like a juicy pear from the farms of the true African farmers. I admire her lovely, loud, melodious voice that sounds like a summer bird singing in the bright trees with green leaves and yellow flowers. Her voice reminds me of the lovely choirs of the world. And boy, is she beautiful. She is a true African woman. Here's to Women's Month. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Andy Sonkosi. Very excited to be here today, invited by Busie The Therapist. Looking forward to hearing from Dr. Fundi. I've seen a lot of his engagements with wellness, and I really do admire the work that he presents. And I'm very excited to be celebrated by men. We spend a lot of our time, celebrating ourselves, fighting for survival and all of that, but it's such a liberating move to be celebrated by men today. I'm quite excited. Thank you.
Hey, this is Busie The Therapist, and today we are celebrating women, but differently this time around. It is men celebrating women. I'm excited because we are all looking all green, snazzy, and we cannot wait to be loved. Oh, by the men, of course. So it is a Women's Day event. Thank you.
One looks from far. I could also have a serious gripe about the other gender, which is you guys. I could have a serious gripe, but it doesn't help. We all need each other. But who am I though? She did try to introduce me, and I'm not gonna go with the other big titles and stuff. But I'm a 55-year-old resident of Bryanston, but rural Eastern Cape at heart. That's my formative years were in the rural areas of the Eastern Cape. I've stayed in PE, I've stayed in Durban. For the last 27 years now I've been in Johannesburg. So I would say I've got both rural and urban influences in me. Married father of 2, married for the second time, I must say that. People are sometimes they don't want to share that kind of information. Guys, I was once a recycled bachelor, and I went back to the market, and then I got married again. So I think, did you attend both? I'm not sure. And I always give the best. I ask you, okay, what kind of wedding do you want? He tells me, I give her exactly that, And then things happen. And then I went back to the market once I have healed, and then, what do you want? No, I want a wedding that gives screw on a wara. It's halfway between. Okay, that's what we'll do. That's what we did. So what I'm trying to say is, in life, embrace the good and the bad. And sometimes in the bad, there's actually good. So I've got a son who's 28 from my first marriage. And then I've got a daughter who is 17 from my current marriage. I don't hope to have a third one. There's a friend of mine, Lincoln Mali. He says, Belle, I love your weddings. I love your weddings. They are always top notch. You know, they are very nice. But I won't go if you go for a third one. I'm not planning to go for a third one, but life happens. From a spiritual or religious point of view, I consider myself what is called a syncretist. You know, somebody who believes in more than one religious or spiritual belief. I grew up in a home where we were grown up as Anglican Christians, you know, so that's what I've been. When I got to varsity, forgot about that. Life, I was just cruising nicely. You know, I never had a supplementary exam for anything, so I just cruised. So at some point you start to think that life is easy because everything just happens. I get to final year, new students like Nozuko who are coming into varsity. Hey, they think, yeah, no, that booty, yeah, maybe I can date him, you know. But you know, I end up dating a friend, you know. You know, but I shortlisted her. You know, she was in my shortlist. You know, she was in my shortlist. Like, if things don't work out, I think I'm gonna go there. You know, but some young guy from Durban, Chabalala, Judge Vuga Chabalala's son, was quicker before I could go back to the shortlist, and the rest is history. All right, so grew up a Christian, but in the last few years, I've also understood that it's important that we as Africans also embrace our own spirituality, spirituality that was there before, you know, I would say Christianity came to these shores. So I now take some good from the African spirituality. I also take some good from, you know, Christianity. As much as there are good things I take from Buddhism, you know, mindfulness, it's a practice from Buddhism. And then there's meditation, which comes from Ayurveda in India. So I think in life, we must not always just bottle ourselves. We need to look at the good that we come across in life. So I survived a divorce after 6 years of marriage, remarried 5 years later, so I had a breathing space of 5 years, checking out the market to see what does it have to offer. You know, and yeah, in September I'll be married 20 years for the second time. So that's not bad from somebody who couldn't get to the 7th year. You know, there's this thing called the 7-year itch. You know, they normally talk about that if you survive that first 7 years, you know, there's a better chance that things might work out for you. So I was just 1 year to that, but hey, things just didn't work out. Yeah, but I'm not here for you guys to feel pity for me, because that was the journey that I think God wanted for me for a particular reason. And so I embraced that journey. So the topic that I'm here to talk about is better a good divorce than a bad marriage. Now, a lot of people will not understand why would somebody even put the word good before something so bad called divorce, you know. But for me, and in terms of my own life experiences, I actually think it's important to you know, to talk about things like divorce. Bad as they are, there's a social stigma around divorce. You think that you are a social failure, and you know, people start to shun you. You no longer get invites to things. The friends that you had, common friends, they move away because they don't want to take sides, or others, they actually do take sides, and you get so angry about it. And you know, but actually sometimes there's this thing called redirection. You can be redirected in life when you were going on a particular path that is not necessarily going to work for you. You may not know that, but the master engineer upstairs, which is God, actually knows that, okay, I think here you did not use the advice we were given by Mr. G. Mr. G said, when you are feeling those butterflies in your heart and your heart is skipping a beat, embrace that, but bring the brain with you. Now, most of us, we think we are bringing the brain, but actually, we're not bringing the brain. You know, sometimes because we don't even know ourselves, who we are. Now, how many of you have experienced what I experienced called divorce? I just want to see. Okay, just 2 in this group. That's good. That's good. So there is nothing wrong if you think you've given it your best shot. Yeah, there's nothing wrong to say, okay, I'm done with this situation. I did the best I could, and you know, you don't always have to listen to the old people say, "Khotlelela," you know, "Bekezela ngane yami." You know, sometimes you need to look at yourself and see whether this toxic situation that you are in, is it working for you? Is it working for your children? Is it actually advancing you? And at some point, you may need to make that decision. So when I first got married, I was 25. So I graduated when I was 22. That is MPCHP. Went to do internship in Umtata, and met this lady that I had been chasing for some time. She was in Umtata, and we just hit it up. We hit it up, and but because at her home, she was not allowed to sleep out, and you know, it was a struggle if I needed her to stay over, or for her to join me in PE where I was a doctor. So I needed to make a plan, you know, to say, okay, how can I do this semi-officially, so that they can allow her to sleep over or to come to my, you know, to my space in PE. And she was from Umtata, and so I met her, I lobolad, and within 2 years, which is 1992, we got married. A very big wedding in Umtata. I think I had 1,000 plus guests in that. We had to get a big marquee from Durban. It was one of those big, you know, weddings. So, and I was amongst the young people who were, you know, doing that. You know, it takes some courage to make that decision. But the upside of that is that a lot of young people or young professionals those days, they saw that, okay, actually you can still be married, but then still have fun. We were going to parties and let's jive. You know, we were having a good life. I would say we were socialites in Umtata, Eastern Cape, KZN, Gauteng, you know, go to parties in Mafikeng, those days of Radio Bop, you know. So we were really socialites. I'm trying to paint a picture, all right? Very tight as a couple. And so the first 3 years when I was working in PE and she was at Rhodes, you know, we were cool. I think in terms of the standards, this is pre-1994. We were having a good life, guys. I mean, we had a house by the beach in Blue Water Bay. When you're sleeping, you can hear the waves, the stuff that white people, you know, enjoy before. So I'm not a product of PE, you know. All right. So we're driving the best cars, you know, Dolphin, convertible, Pajeros, and, you know. So when I came to Joburg, I was made. We were made. All right. But we moved because my wife, who was an economist, couldn't get a job in PE. And number two, she wanted to study an MBA. There was no MBA program in University of Port Elizabeth. So we moved That meant me closing my practices in there. I was doing well, but I had to close them because I needed my partner to also be happy. Moved up to Joburg to set up the practices afresh. Big mistake, because I should have bought an already existing practice and grow it, and not think that because it takes 6 months in PE to develop a practice, then it will take 6 months if I come to Johannesburg. So it took much longer. So the finances dried up. Lifestyle had to be downgraded. Pajeros had to be sold. Slatlers had to be sold. Flying in and around, had to be cut down. So the lifestyle moved from here to there. And I thought, okay, the best thing to do is to just work harder, 7 days a week. But there's this thing called work-life balance and work-life integration. I was not able to balance work and the commitments to family, including, time with wife. And that opened up cracks over time. And there are a lot of sharks, guys. I mean, there are a lot of sharks. So sharks, I think somehow they smelled that there's some cracks here. Now I'm busy working 7 days a week and stuff, and hoping that my partner understood that I was working for us. But she started doing her MBA in 97. And so MBA, you guys will know that it's one of those degrees or programs that leads to lots of separation or even divorces. So you add that to a unstable kind of situation, it's a recipe for disaster. So in that kind of program, people, they have these syndicate groups. They work till 2 a.m. in the morning and wherever. It's such a busy program. But it can also be used as a cover, where somebody says, I'm in a syndicate group, Kanti, there's stuff happening. Yes, we are syndicated on her. I'm not talking badly. She's the mother of my son. But I'm just trying to share a reality with you guys. So, at some point, I started thinking, no man, even if there are no assignments, it's like a holiday. But when I want my benefits, conjugal rights and all, there's excuses. And these excuses don't make sense. The headache, I thought, okay, I'll bring pain tablets from work, and other things. I thought, no, man, something is hitting me here. But I don't know what is this something that is hitting me. So, at that time, we've got a 3-year-old son. So my helper, or our helper, at 8 o'clock, she has to go to her room. So I then become the parent who now keeps the baby until mommy comes at 2 a.m. from the syndicate group. So now one day, because now I'm on high alert, I had been to her offices, spoken to the security guards, bribed them with some money to see if I could get some intelligence, because I can feel something is hitting me, but I don't know what is this thing, but I couldn't get any info despite the bribes. They took the bribes, but they didn't give me information. Yeah. So one day she came back home at 12 midnight. That was early, because usually it's 2 a.m. So at 12 midnight, but still, because my antenna were already up, so she comes in, and then a call comes in. Okay, now, those Nokias. So when somebody talks, you can hear. So I could hear that this is a man's voice. Jani, at 12 midnight, you phone my person, So I asked, who is this person? No, it wasn't. Who is this person? the answer wasn't given. I took the phone and I looked at last received. Then I saw who it was. It was a relative of hers, so it was not. But then, even if you are a relative, you can't be phoning my person at 12 midnight. Why can't you wait until tomorrow? So I then decided to phone the person. Yes, the relative. It's a male relative, but still, why are you phoning my wife at this time? That triggered a lot of anger from my partner. Why are you phoning him? Actually, you should be grateful to him because I was already gone. He's the one who convinced me to give this marriage a chance. I had already met somebody, and the feeling I was having is the last time I had it was when I was a teenager. You know? So basically, you are finding from me that there has been a person, and I'm in the process of leaving this person because of this relative that has convinced me to actually give your marriage a chance. So therefore, you should not be angry at him. He's actually done you a favor. Look, guys, you know, when it comes to matters of the heart, this doesn't always work. Yeah? You know, even if you are a person of a black and white, sometimes you have to settle for gray somewhere, you know. And so that was the first, you know, I didn't hear from the street. I didn't get people saying, hey, ngari mutu wao wajola. No, I heard it from her. And so what's the next thing? Or she's writing her MBA exams in a week from now, or well, from that time. So let's just press a pause. We're gonna need to take time out to some place where there's no phones or anything, so that we can talk about our relationship and see how did this all happen. And she will tell me who this person is, and you know, all of that. So the whole week, I now know that I was not mad to think that something is hitting me. I now have confirmation from my partner, but I need to wait for a week so that we can go up to Nailstrom somewhere. There's a Protea hotel there where people with relationships that are crumbling, they go where there's no phones or anything. All right, so to fast forward this, indeed, that weekend came. We went, we left our son with somebody. I wonder if it was not you, so that we could go and talk to each other about the whole thing. And at the end of the day, I decided maybe I could have done better. And maybe rather than thinking that if your partner has cheated, I must discard her, let me give the relationship a chance. But then we've got action points, both of us. There are certain things when we come back she must do, and there are certain things that I also need to do. Cut down the number of work hours or days, spend a little bit more time to her, send flowers, surprise with this and that. But remember now, the money is not so great. But I needed to do stuff, but she also needed to do stuff. One of those was to cut this guy and tell him that from now onwards, Naliwena, we're done. Yeah, I'm saying it in Sutu because Neilumutuan. All right, but anyway, nothing wrong with that. I mean, love is love. So, so we're able to implement everything except her action of telling this guy that no more phones, no contact, no whatever. So I decided, we had a common friend, which is Dr. Makutuman. Yes, the husband to Nandipa. Yeah, so that was our common friend. So I spoke to him to say, hey, this guy is messing me up, and can I have his number? You look surprised. Yeah, let me have his number. I need to tell him myself. Yeah, I need to tell him myself that you go as far away as possible from my wife. We've decided to give our relationship a chance. So there I was, phoning the gentleman, picked up the call. Obviously, he knew who I was. And I said, like, chap, I now know that you've been having something with my wife. I want you to stop it. I want you to stop it because we need to give this a chance. But the guy was like, no. Well, initially, I didn't want to do it. But she was the one who was chasing me. And therefore, maybe you should focus on home and not on me. You know? Now, it takes a lot to talk to another man and plead with him to leave your wife. But he was arrogant and basically telling me that if it wasn't him, it would have been somebody else. So just focus on home. I then decided, okay, maybe I need to use a different strategy.
On next week's episode of Dr. Fundi's Health Matters.
You know, when it comes to matters of the heart, this doesn't always work. Yeah? But people mustn't. But that was not right. That was not right. So you are basically in a similar situation and you need to be decisive, putting your interest.
Like I say, we drink water of the same thing.
Yeah.
Just like I wouldn't go to a therapist is not more. I think once as women we need to take accountability in terms of why city men are trash. Good men still exist.